invitados extranjeros que no hablan español. Entonces, para tratar de incluir a todo el mundo, las transparencias están en español, voy a hablar en inglés. ¿Okay? Si tienen alguna pregunta, no se detengan. ¿Okay? La introducción lo voy a hacer en español. So I'm going to be speaking in English. The PowerPoint is Spanish. Okay? So bear with me. This is, I never presented this material before. I'm already having a headache about this nature of what I'm trying to say. But, so the first bit, I'm going to say it in Spanish because you already know is basically in the abstract. Okay? Is that great? So, yo considero que existe un dilema para aquellos que defienden los experimentos animales. ¿Sí? Por un lado, ¿por qué experimentamos en animales? Pues es para ver cuáles son las consecuencias de esos experimentos en los seres humanos. ¿Sí? Si no, esos experimentos no nos dirían qué efecto tienen, ¿verdad?, en los seres humanos. Pero por otro lado, y aquí está esta tensión, si los experimentos en los animales, ¿verdad?, si los animales son similares, ¿verdad?, entonces debe ser casi igualmente inmoral o falto de ética experimentar en ellos como si fuera experimentar en nosotros. ¿Sí? Yo considero este punto muy contundente. ¿Sí? Entonces, esta tensión, ¿va?, entre intentos de insistir que somos similares a los animales, pero por otro lado, que somos muy diferentes a los animales, no es nada bueno. ¿Sí? Lo que yo voy a arguir es que esta tensión está presente en los siglos XVII y XVIII en general y está presente en las filosofías de Descartes y de Berkeley. ¿Okay? Rápidamente, ¿okay? Como ustedes bien saben, Descartes rechaza la concepción aristotélica del alma, ¿sí? Y algo que vamos a ver es que Berkeley rechaza, ¿sí?, la concepción del alma cartesiana. Okay? Okay. So now I'm going into English. Okay. So I'm going to be quick here because you all know this very well. But as we all know, in the discourse on the method, right, Descartes provides two certain ways of distinguishing humans from machines, and then he says, well, this is exactly the way that, right, humans and animals, right, are different. Okay, and so here are some reasons, yeah, for denying that animals have minds or souls like ours. Okay, the first one is, right, very well known to the English-speaking language, at least. It's the language test, right? So we use language, animals cannot use language, right? So for that, the second one, right, very well known, is the action test, yeah? And the idea here is that machines or animals, right, can do a bunch of things much better than we do, but they fail terribly, they fail miserably, right, doing certain others, right? So the idea here, hey, they're not working on the understanding, right, but just by the disposition of their organs, okay? These are not the only differences that Descartes identifies between human beings and animals. He has a third reason, right, what I call the argument from the immortality of the soul, yeah? And it's just based on probability. And he says, look, worms, flies, caterpillars, right? It's very improbable that they have an immortal soul, right? They move mechanically, right? Okay. Now, I think that the reference to immortal souls betrays a theological concern. It's not made very explicit in Descartes, but it's certainly explicit by some people that follow Descartes, like Malebranche. Yeah, Malebranche, who denies that animals can feel. Malebranche, who denies that animals can feel pain. And Malebranche is basing it on a very abstract principle in Saint Augustine. Yeah, subvero justo nemo miser nisi mereatur. You know what I said. I'll say it in Spanish. Bajo un Dios justo, uno no puede ser miserable sin haberlo merecido. Right? So the idea here, right, in the argument for what I call the divine recompensa.
Reward.
Thank you. Reward. If animals were capable of feeling pain, right, under an omni-just, omnibenevolent, omnipotent God, right, there will be a problem because we have an innocent creature, right, suffering, and this is a punishment, right, and this is a sanction, and innocent creatures shouldn't suffer. Right? Okay. Another reason that Descartes gives us, right, is that if animals think like us, they must have souls like us, yeah, immortal souls like us. And he goes like, that's pretty improbable, right? Because there is no reason for believing it about some animals, but then not believing it for other animals, okay? ¿Ya? O sea, la idea aquí es todos coludos o todos rabones. And this is what I call the argument from the oyster. Okay? The oyster argument. Because Descartes says, look at the oysters and the sponges. They're so imperfect. It's incredible, right? That they have immortal souls like us. This one is very well known to everybody. Comes from the Genesis, right? And it is the argument from human dominion, right? So the idea here is that in Genesis, right, as we all know, God, right, orders, right, human beings to exercise dominion over nature, exercise dominion over the animals. Okay? Si se acuerdan de Genesis, ¿no?
Sí.
Okay. Now let's move to Bartley. Okay? So what is the role of animals in Berkeley's philosophy? Okay, this is one of the most neglected, right, points, right, that very few commentators, right, have worked on this issue about what is the status, right, of animals in Berkeley's philosophy. Okay. I believe that the conception of the animal, particularly the animal mind in Berkeley, doesn't lack very interesting complications. Yeah, and this, for example, is partly reflected by inconsistent interpretations of Berkeley from the get-go. Yeah. So, for example, and we'll say this something about this briefly later on. Samuel Johnson, right, says to Berkeley, hey, it seems that, right, you are granting animals an immortal soul, but then others, like, for example, Baxter says, it seems that you're not granting animals, you know, sensation or what have you. Well, let's see. So I believe that animals in Berkeley's philosophy, they take out the clause, right? Yeah, close. And they destabilize, right, the privileged status of human beings. Okay, so one sub-claim here that I'm making is that it makes sense to read Berkeley's texts, right, Berkeley's readings on animals in the light of Descartes' ideas, because I think that Descartes' posture helps to bring clarity to that of Berkeley. They reach some similar conclusions, and they also, Berkeley also uses some Cartesian arguments. Well, let's see. Excuse me. Okay. So what are some of the claims that Berkeley explicitly makes about animals? This one, I'm going to be brief, but I put it here just in case, right? People believe that he doesn't think that they exist. Of course they exist, right? We perceive animals and they are perceivers, okay? So look at principles, right, section 2, okay? Now, clearly they don't exist, right, as modifications that are inherent on material substances, right? They are just a collection, right, of ideas that are dependent in our minds as perceivers, but they exist. They have senses, okay? And this is for their conservation and their well-being, okay? Tres diálogos means three dialogues, okay? Okay, this is a very central idea in Descartes. They see, yeah, okay, and again, they can see for the conservation and well-being, yeah? I'm not going to read you, right, the text, because you'll know very well the text, right, but where he says that animals can see, right, in the new theory of vision. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. ¿Todo bien? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. They have well-being. In other words, things can go well for them. They can also suffer pain, which means that things can go bad for them. Yeah, and they also respond to their environment. Yeah, and again, because it's to their advantage. Yeah, they benefit from this. They are alive. They perceive, right? For example, as is well known, they perceive, right? They can perceive their extremes, right? Okay? They can imagine, they can remember, they have memory, they have passions, they have instincts, they have appetites. Wow, right? Yeah? Here's the textual support. I am not going to read it, yeah? You'll know very well, but this is the part about the mite, right? The little mite. Mm-hmm. Looking at his extremities and saying, wow, I have big hands, right? You know that. So, no voy a leer todo esto, pero sí les voy a hacer hincapié. Este es el soporte textual de los puntos que he hecho. Y Berkeley dice bla, 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 bla. Pero aquí, por ejemplo, le dice a Filonus, dice, contéstame, ¿crees que los sentidos se concedieron a los animales para la conservación y bienestar de su vida? ¿O solo a los hombres se les dio para ese fin? Claro que Hilas va a decir, no dudo que tengan el mismo uso en todos los demás animales. Si es así, no es necesario que deberían tener la facultad de percibir mediante dichos sentidos sus propios miembros y aquellos cuerpos que son capaces de hacerle daño. Ciertamente. ¿Sí? Entonces empieza aquí a hablar de un ácaro. ¿Sí? Y dice, un ácaro, por consiguiente, se debe suponer que ve sus propias patas, ¿sí? Y cosas iguales, incluso más pequeñas, ¿sí? Y dice, pues, tienen una dimensión considerable. Aunque al mismo tiempo te parezcan difícilmente discernibles, ¿sí? No puedo negarlo. Y a criaturas menores, el ácaro les parecerá todavía mayores. Sí. Como si las tuviera alguna opción. Entonces, de tal manera, ¿verdad? De lo que tú tan difícilmente puedes discernir, aparecerá a otros animales extremadamente diminutos, como una enorme montaña. ¿Sí? ¿Está claro? Ok, ese es un ácaro. Ok, miren las patitas. Se están viendo las manos. Está como Donald Trump, que manotas. Sí, pero vean las de Berkeley. Wow. Right, y luego Berkeley dice, mira qué pequeñas. Ok, estoy a punto de darles muy mala noticia. Ok, tenemos cientos a miles de ácaros en nuestra cara. ¿Sí? Ok, comen de día, salen de noche y tienen relaciones sexuales en nuestra cara. ¿Okay? No se apuren, son muy discretos. ¿Okay? I'm telling them about face mates. ¿Okay? Entonces, si el doctor Luis Ramos se presenta rasurado mañana, van a saber por qué. Okay. Sigue Berkeley. Tienen mucho en común. So Berkeley continues, right? So they have we have a lot in common, right? Animals have a lot in common with human beings. Remember, right, this passage, right, in Alcifrón, right, where he says, do animals have instincts? Do they have senses? Do they have appetites? Do they have passions? Yeah, so that he can guide them. Yeah? And he says humans are like that. I spent a lot of time translating Berkeley. So these are my translations of Berkeley into Spanish. Now I'm having a lot of hard time going back the other way. Okay, but I brought my portable Berkeley. So what's going on here? Este es un punto importante, este de abajo. So it seems right that the difference between animals and human beings is only one of degree, not one of kind, not one of class. Yeah? Okay. So this is what I call the Sherwin-Williams account, right, of animal minds in Berkeley, right? It's one of degrees, right? We're loaded, right? And then you go down, and here you have the mind, which, right, that's very limited. To do justice to Berkeley, the picture really is more complicated, right? It looks something like that, right? So, right, the more of the intellect, the more away that you keep from the senses, the more that we sort of like overcome our passions and appetites and so on. So we are here, right? And then here you're gonna have the mind, right, or whatever. But also I think that you can read that within certain species, within certain kinds of beings, you also have obviously differences, right? Okay. So they're not gonna understand it. Hasta aquí, ATM. So far so good. Okay, everything seems very consistent, but now this is where I struggle with the text, right? And I think that things are much more complicated, right? We shouldn't expect consistency from a great early modern philosophy, right? If consistency was the necessary condition for being a philosopher, there would be no philosophers. Okay?
They tried.
It's possible. It's possible.
So there are, after all, some differences between us and animals, according to Berkeley. Yeah? WT. Okay? Could it be that we have abstract ideas and they don't? No, right? That's not going to be an option, right, in Berkeley, because as we all know, right, he rejects, right, that
Abstract ideas.
Yeah, thank you. It rejects, right, the local conception of abstract ideas. We're not capable of abstraction, right? Nor can the animal. So that's not a resource, right, that Berkeley has in his philosophic arsenal. Okay. Okay, so is it the fact that we use language, yeah, and signs, and they don't? Again, that's not it, right? He continues to argue, right, that Locke's position is based on the observation that beasts, right, do not use language, right, nor do they use signs, okay? And nonetheless, right, the inability of animals to use language is not sufficient, Berkeley says, for Locke's conclusion, right? There could be other reasons why animals do not use language, right? And even if they could use language, this is not going to guarantee Locke's conclusion because they don't have abstract ideas. Point, right? Example, look at us, right? Okay, so that's not gonna do the trick. Okay, so what I claim here is that this is pretty much consistent, right, throughout Berkeley's writings. Here's a more fine-grained point that I think he makes. Yeah, in the philosophical commentaries, he says, look, animals do not possess the idea of unity and existence. So we started, right, with commonalities, right? And now there's that, right? Now there's that space, right? Okay. Okay. I'm not going to read you this passage, right? But you know the text. Okay. So one thing that strikes me is that this reason for rejecting Locke is consistent throughout Barthes' text. But then it seems that he says that they possess different figure and different language. Yeah? But again, he seems to be saying this is only in different degrees, right? The Sherwin-Williams, right, interpretation of art. Okay? So this is from the philosophical commentaries, right? And he says, if we take up away abstraction, how do human beings differ from beasts? I say by figure, by language. It's rather by degrees of more, right, or less. Okay. You know this passage well also, right? So from speech, right, from language and movement, right, of human beings, we make an inference, right, that they actually have a soul, a spirit, right, within them. So one way to interpret, right, the distinction between human beings and animals in Berkeley is by affirming that empirically, right, we can perceive that animals do not produce the same complex effects, right, that are similar to human beings. Okay? Animals do not speak, do not use language, right, nor do they act in complex forms as humans, right, tend to do. Okay? This is pretty similar to what Baker says, right, in the Discourse on the Man. Yeah? Okay, so again, right, this idea of a degree, right, of minds seems to be present. So one thing that I'm venturing to say also is that this is a sort of like very Leibnizian, right, idea that there are souls, right, but animals don't have, right, rational souls or something like that. I don't know if that's right. Yeah. Okay. So here's another more fine-grained difference, right? So animals cannot form complex ideas, right? They cannot possess knowledge of notions, but particularly, right, those concerning God, right? Yeah. So, for example, some of the limits, right, of animal minds is that they cannot imagine a blue horse or a chimera. Yeah. Okay. And then he says, look, we imagine a great difference, right, between the distance, right, the distance between humans and worms, and similarly, right, the distance between human beings and God is going to be kind of infinite, right? So, big difference, infinite difference, right? Okay? But I'm also willing to claim, right, that these differences are going to happen between, right, the same species, right? So here we have the stupidest, right, breed, the basset hound. Yeah, I'm sorry if you have a basset hound. No, don't take it personally. And here are the border collies, which are supposed to be the most intelligent dog. Yeah. Aquí está la raza de perro más tonto. Sí, esta es la más inteligente. Perdón si tienen un basset hound. Y también en los seres humanos. Now, our foreign friends are not going to understand that, and I'm not even going to try. Okay, but you get it, okay? Here's a quote that I think is key in understanding what Barthes says about animals. He makes reference, right, to the Pythagoreans and the Platonists, right? And he says that adequately, right, that they distinguish the differences between the intellect, right, the rational soul, and the sensitive soul, right, with the different acts of intellection, reasoning, and sensation. Yeah, and then he criticizes, right, the Cartesian conception of mind, right. So this is something where I think I agree with you, Dan, that it seems like a neo-Pythagorean, neo-Platonic, right, kind of approach, as opposed to, say, an Aristotelian or a Cartesian, right, approach, right. And here's, right, that idea that he says from all the animals, right, only human beings, right, can have an understanding, right, of God. So what's going on here? I think that partly what puts us above, right, animals in Berkeley is that we can contemplate our own mortality. Right? Yeah. Okay. He also says, and this is another difference that he draws between humans and animals, that animals lack a faculty of racional, que carecen de una facultad racional libre, so that they lack, right, the capacity of free reason, yeah, okay, of freedom, right, yeah, okay, okay, so the rational faculty in humans, right, allows, I think, in Berkeley to develop a moral conscience. In other words, to make us moral agents, right? And the fact that we have complex ideas, that we can use language, right? That lift us, above our own animal nature, right? That is associated with the senses and the passions, right? Okay, so as long as we keep them in check, right, we rise, right, with this free faculty of free reason, right? Capacity to make, for example, rational choices, to use a Kantian phrase. And look how sort of like dualistic Berkeley can get, and he says, look, right, it is evident that there are two, right, parts of the composition of human beings, right? There's the mind that is pure and spiritual, right? And is made in the image of God, right? And we have that in common with the angels, right? And then the corporeal part, right, that has the senses and the passions, right, which we have in common with the non-human animals, right? So, but this is not a sort of like that kind of Cartesian dualism. I think it's more like a neo-Pythagorean or neo-Platonic to call it something. Okay. So in Berkeley, right, animals are going to be consistently associated with the senses and passions, right? Whereas we're humans, right, even though we are burdened, right, with senses and passions and appetites, right, and we share those characteristics with animals, we are very different in virtue of our ability, right, to be a reason, right, keep in check, right, those desires and passions and what have you. Pardon. Ooh, what happened here? Don't worry.
So it's just your.
I think it's interviewing. Sorry about that. This is really embarrassing.
Stand up.
I think that intervened with us.
That is the
I lost this.
no, it's okay, no?
There we go.
Mhm.
First, this is working. Let me reconnect it.
Okay, if you want, I can
Sí, vete, haz un escape.
Ajá.
Es que se me...
¿La última? ¿La
No,
penúltima?
from... Y empieza nomás y yo con el conexión.
Ok. Aquí. Ya.
Okay, sorry about this.
Yes,
Okay, yeah. This is the last one, right? Just make sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna read. Okay. So, yeah, this is where we are, right? So, the faculty, right, of having a free reason, right, of humans, right, is the foundation, according to Berkeley, of morality or ethics and religion, right? So this is the coda, right? The philosophic projects, right? Both that of Descartes and that of Berkeley. And this is something that I, didn't argue, but I do think that this is the way that I, for example, read the meditations, right? Is the idea here is to make us more like God, right? Okay. But however, right? Animals come in and completely make a mess, right, in their philosophic systems. And I think that mess continues to this day. Thank you very much for bearing with me.
Muchas gracias, Enrique, a tu presentación. Y pasamos entonces a la
Muy
sección
breve.
de las preguntas. 10 minutos
Sí,
para
escasamente.
tomarlo. Es que podemos movernos.
No, es que la fotografía. Sí.
La fotografía. Okay. Bien, entonces, Alejandra.
La voy a hacer en español,
Sí,
si
sí.
la puedes resumir en inglés. Es una para Laura y una para...
Gracias.
Primero para Laura. Para Berkeley, la óptica geométrica tiene un carácter meramente instrumental.
Así es.
Entonces, dentro de la propuesta de ciencia óptica que desarrolla Berkeley, ¿qué lugar ocuparía de todas formas esa óptica geométrica? Porque desde luego que ella ha demostrado tener utilidad en su carácter instrumental,
Por supuesto,
aplicable.
por supuesto.
Entonces, ¿qué lugar le da a esa óptica geométrica?
Bueno,
Que entiendo que no la descalifica del todo.
no, por supuesto que no. La óptica geométrica sigue siendo importante, sigue siendo útil. Lo que sucede es que hay que también ver cómo opera, digamos, internamente todas nuestras, digamos, facultades y ver cómo se construye la percepción. Y tal vez no solamente depender de los perceptos de un tipo o de otro, sino ver exactamente cómo se integran, algo que en lo que hizo hincapié hace un momento el profesor Steven, es justamente el hecho del orden. Allí hay una propuesta muy importante que para mí parece ser como una guía dentro de muchas de las cuestiones berkeleyanas. El orden ayuda muchísimo a intentar entender justamente cómo se van, digamos, produciendo nuestras ideas, cómo se van completando, etc. Entonces, no es una cuestión de dejar a un lado la óptica geométrica, pero sí es una cuestión de entender que en primer lugar están estos perceptos que hay que organizar y ordenar desde la perspectiva de la voluntad, que es algo en lo que también hizo hincapié Enrique. El asunto es que la actividad, pues, no puedes, por decirlo así, dejar a un lado la actividad de la mente, por llamarlo de alguna manera rápida, no puedes dejarla a un lado en función de tener ciertas reglas geométricas que te van a ayudar a determinar distancias, parámetros, etc. No es que los olvides, pero primero tienes que ver cómo se ordenan todas las sensaciones.
Claro, muchas gracias.
No hay
¿Y
que...
para Enrique?
Sí.
Es también muy breve. Enrique, entonces, en la visión de Berkeley, ¿Se establece alguna diferencia entre los propios animales? La teoría Sherwin-Williams estaría también aplicada para los propios animales.
Sí, ¿verdad? Porque van a tener diferentes interacciones, ¿no? Con el medio ambiente, ¿sí? Pero también diferentes colecciones de percepciones.
Claro.
Y explícitamente establece...
Es como, por ejemplo, la misma, disculpa si te estoy interrumpiendo, pero es como lo mismo la analogía que él dice o sea, él se refiere al hombre más estúpido, ¿verdad? Sí, y seguido hace una analogía entre el animal y la niñez, ¿sí? Entonces yo pienso que de esa misma forma va a haber variaciones, pero vea, en ese espectro, Sherwin-Williams es un rosa mexicano y un rosa mexicano tantito.
Claro, está bien, gracias.
Okay. So, Sam?
Yes, so I have a question for both.
Yes, this is.
So for Laura, I was wondering, maybe I misunderstood, but I got the sense that you thought that empiricism was important to the criticism that Berkeley throws at Cartesians in explaining vision. But
yes.
I'm not so sure. I mean, that's really what's the most important thing. Because even if you think that there are, internal innate ideas, or there's some sort of innate geometry or whatever, the important thing for Berkeley is that you can't see the lines and angles. You can't perceive the lines and angles. And so you're not using them, or if you do see them, you're not using them in any event to calculate the distance of objects. So, and this is I think it's his crucial criticism.
Yes.
So I don't know, I'm not sure that empiricism is really driving the criticisms as much as, you could imagine, for example, he's a Cartesian, he's got all kinds of Cartesian views, but they just differ about how we perceive distance.
Of course he differs, and it is important to make it clear. I suppose that for him to perceive is first of all to give the order to those perceptions, and it is very important. And of course, you don't make aside the ideas of geometry and everything, but you have in the first level, all your perceptions about distance and about that. And of course, he's not really aside of the evolution of geometry and to apply it to the other things that we have to do. But he especially I perceive that he prefer the internal order you give to your ideas, and then you can apply other things, but instrumentally only. That is my version of the thing,
Okay.
I suppose.
Just quickly for you. So I was wondering where the mess was, because it seemed like you were setting this out kind of consistently, right? You've got your Sherwin-Williams theory, you've got your, but there at the same time that there are gradations, there are also differences. So I'm just wondering where you think the mess is. Is it that you think that there's a difference in kind that's produced by the fact that humans have reason and animals don't, or that they have the ability to think, that they have the ability to produce complex ideas? Is that something, a difference in kind or degree? Or is it, or the ability to contemplate their own mortality? Is that also a difference in kind or degree? Or is it just that, or is it that there's an inconsistency because they still suffer, and yet they're not, they don't get rewards for their suffering even though they're innocent? I'm just trying to understand.
Okay, to be honest, the mess is in my own head, right? But so yeah, I mean, I would like to paint a neat, right, an organized picture. But I like mess. I mean that, right? And so yeah, when we got right to this idea that right, they cannot form right ideas about existence, about unity, right, about God, right? And then suddenly it seems that now there's a schism, right? But I'll be happy, right, to say, yeah, I can go back to the Sherwin-Williams, right? But then they do seem to have a very different moral status. I mean, particularly when it comes to being more like God, right? Right.
So what makes us more like God is the fact that we have reason? Is that it?
Yeah, then we have the faculty of free reason, right?
But animals can figure things out, right? Animals can work out, they can solve problems. They have instrumental rationality.
Yeah, true, right? But it's kind of to use, I don't want to get into it, but it's in a sense, determined, by the perceptions that they have. But on the other hand, we have the freedom, and I don't want to go into the mess, but that we have the freedom, to rise above, our passions and appetites and so on. Yeah. But yes, I mean, I think that it can be questioned, but if you yeah.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
Laura, you were going to ask.
Rápido. Sabes, me preocupa que hay algo que siento que no está muy tomado en cuenta, algo que Stephen ha señalado con mucho cuidado, que es justamente esta cuestión de la voluntad, esta actividad, digamos, voluntaria que te va llevando. Entonces, parece haber realmente una cierta diferencia entre tener estos preceptos y no sé qué y no sé cuánto de la pulga o de la chincha o de lo que fuere y en el ser humano, ¿no? Que los va como organizando, porque claro, llegar hasta la idea de Dios no solo es como comprender algo, sino esta actividad, que es algo que Stephen señala mucho, ¿no?
Sí.
Esta actividad, y además una actividad voluntaria que
Sí.
es muy importante para
Sí,
poder
sí.
entender cómo organizas las ideas ahí dentro, ¿no? Me parece que hay algo que puede hacer allí realmente marcar una
Sí,
diferencia.
sí.
No sé.
Sí, ya, sí, me gusta eso.
Bien, Oscar.
Sí, gracias. Yo tenía una pregunta para la doctora Benítez. En su presentación, entre las cosas que sugiere es como el tránsito digamos, de la teoría geométrica, de la visión a una teoría
Tan psicológica.
que cuenta cuestiones psicológicas, ¿no? Que avanza, digamos, en la asociación entre los mecanismos psicológicos y los principios del conocimiento. Y entonces mi pregunta tiene que ver con si esto implica, o sea, sobre la relación que tendrían las dos posiciones respecto a la metafísica. Porque, bueno, según entiendo, por ejemplo, la teoría cartesiana de la visión tiene esta
A fuerzas tiene.
La geometría es importante,
la fundamentación.
fundamental en la medida en que responde a una cierta asociación entre principios metafísicos y principios del conocimiento.
Claro, por supuesto.
Entonces, al pasar a un esquema más psicológico, se estaría distanciando, digamos, la teoría de la metafísica, o más bien supondría una revisión digamos,
Yo creo que supone una revisión de la metafísica, precisamente por las cuestiones que hemos estado discutiendo aquí. Creo que no es tanto retomar los viejos principios ni nada de eso, sino reconstruir otros principios diferentes y darle un sentido distinto al desarrollo de la ciencia. En el caso específico, ¿no?, de la ciencia óptica. No, por supuesto, no se va a limitar y a referir a las propuestas más tradicionales cartesianas acerca de esto, y va a dejar a un lado como decir, uso como a priorístico, ¿no?, que está en la mente de ciertas líneas y de ciertos parámetros matemáticos. No, esto le parece que efectivamente eso no está allí y que realmente lo vamos construyendo y es realmente una aportación de nuestra experiencia y de nuestro desarrollo. Pero lo que sí es cierto es que justamente, bueno, uno tiene que pensar que una persona que esté dedicada de todas maneras a ser un obispo, el obispo de Cologne, tiene su idea de Dios bastante concreta, digamos, e importante. Entonces, allí hay algo que incluso en estos otros asuntos que hemos estado deliberando acerca de Berkeley, es importante, ¿no? Entonces, es una idea importante que no surge de cualquier manera y que tiene que tener, pues, toda una complejidad, pero que otra vez está unida a esta actividad voluntaria y que esta actividad voluntaria es la que determina hacia dónde vas a llevar tus propuestas y cómo vas a desarrollar tus ideas de ciencia, ¿no?
Bien.
En este caso, óptica, perdón.
Bien. Y entonces terminamos con la pregunta de Tom. Go ahead.
So this is really just a quick follow-up to Sam's question. So it seems to me Descartes really does have a problem of his own making, because he's made a very sharp distinction.
Although I have a revisionist view of that.
Humans and animals. And now he's got a problem
Yeah.
that with the automata account of
At least
animals,
under the
what have we got in this
official
world?
story.
Yeah. Whereas it doesn't seem to me that Descartes has a problem, Berkeley has a problem at all.
Yeah.
He buys entirely into the great chain of being, it's
Yeah.
entirely graded.
Yeah.
And yes, there's an interesting question about picking out the differences.
Yeah.
But nothing we could discover. If we discover dolphins have the idea of God, doesn't make any difference to him. There doesn't need to be a sharp distinction anywhere for him.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with the text. I must be honest, and maybe the mess is in my head, in my interpretation. What bugs me is that, first of all, he denies that, right, that animals can have, right, certain, right, complex ideas. But I'm trying to be honest with myself that once I get here, right, he's saying that this is something that we can do, but they can't. And so it seems to me that there's to use a Humean, that there's a missing shade of blue here, right, in the Sherwin-Williams. So,
But he takes that to be an empirical question. So we go and prove that various animals can pass tests about the continuity of objects behind.
True. Yeah.
And he's not going to
And there's support for your views. For example, what he says about languages, right? They say, well, at least they don't manifest it, right? But he seems to be more open-minded than I have to think long and hard. Thank you.
And I think you can't take it out of a post-Reformation context that justification is, from our perspective, entirely arbitrary. God just bestows grace; He can do it wherever He likes.
Yeah,
in that great chain of being. If we seek for just an explanation of why grace is bestowed here, not there, we're trying to step into God's shoes, and we shouldn't do that. So, for Berkeley's point of view, flow with it. Just find out what all the empirical differences are, and with the angels and the other higher orders of being.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bien, muchísimas gracias. Volvemos a la